Welcome to Daryl's Little Corner. We'll be with you every Monday at 7 o'clock. In the studio tonight with me is Floyd. Now, Krystal, I understand that you're aiming to run for county coroner.
I am running for coroner of Tippett County.
Why?
Hey,
It's not an everyday thing. In fact, we were discussing a while ago how many women had been coroner.
off the top of my head, I can name two.
Two.
I can name two. I don't think there have been any more, but two is the only,
I know Dwayne South was coroner.
yes, and Christy Meeks
Christy
Orman.
Meeks, Orman. So it can be done.
It can be done.
Can be done. Well, welcome to the little corner.
Thank you.
Let's get into it and learn a little about you when you're running for office. Folks want to know. First thing that people want to know is who's your parents?
My parents are Jerry and Linda Hogue, both from Ripley.
Okay. What school did you go to?
I went to Ripley and I graduated in 2000.
Look what Ripley did. Yeah. You have siblings?
I have a brother. His name is Jeremy Hogue.
And he is running for sheriff.
He is running for sheriff.
Are you married?
I am married. I'm married to Dwayne Floyd. Most people know him as Scotty. He works for the Postal Service and runs a city route here in Ripley and is also the pastor of Whittentown Baptist Church.
A busy man.
He is very busy.
Yes. You have children?
I have a daughter and I have a little boy who is 6 named John Emery.
Where they go to school?
Ripley.
Ripley. So you're rooted in Tippett County.
I have been here my whole life.
Well, that makes a difference when you're rounded into Tippett County. You know people. You know where the roads are. Probably know who's kin to who.
Sometimes.
Well, y'all went to school together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a transplant. Everybody, they'll just sit in the shop and they'll talk and say, well, she was married to so-and-so and that was their mother and grandma. And I'm like,
My
but
husband's
you
from
would know.
Guntown, so
Yeah.
he's a transplant.
Yeah, well, he's got my problem, yes. We don't know. How long's he been pastoring?
7 years, I believe.
That is wonderful. Who's his parents?
His parents are Scotty Floyd and Melissa Stanford from Guntown.
From Guntown. Is he kin to the Floyds here?
He
I
thinks
thought
he
about
might
that.
be. He might be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, tell us why you want to be.
I have the compassion for people and empathy. I was an EMT, so I have some medical training,
Yeah.
some medical background.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be depressing?
I think there is a separation between, your home life and your work life. And there's a fine line. You can let it depress you, or you can go and do your job.
It depends on how you look at it. If you're going to help people, I worked for the Legacy Hospice, and I went to help people. I went to bring some happiness in their life.
Right.
I was volunteer coordinator. And, we did things like put in a smoke detector for a lady that kept falling asleep smoking. We did things like I found somebody to bush hog this lady's yard for free because it was getting snaky. We did something to help. And if you go with that attitude, I don't think it's depressing. But if you go in and you just look at death everywhere and people crying and which they are, and it could be. It depends on how you go into it.
Right.
But I understand you're very qualified. Now, you're an EMT.
I worked for TransCare out of Corinth and then transferred to DeSoto County. So I worked Alcorn County and DeSoto County.
There's a lot of schooling that goes to being an EMT, doesn't it? A
Th-
lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, a
And
lot.
continuing education, you're constantly having to keep up CPR certifications and this certifications and this license.
Yeah, my stepson is a EMT, and he's always having to go for classes or something, and loves it, loves it. Did you learn that on, in case somebody wants to do that, did you do that online, or did you go to
I went to Northeast, and Northeast used to offer night classes on Tuesday and Thursday from like 5 to 9. And it was about 3 months long.
but you wouldn't be easily shocked, or, I mean,
Working on the ambulance,
yeah,
you think, I have
see a
seen
lot.
everything,
yeah,
and then the next day I have not seen everything. It's always something new and something different. So
Well, I know a lot
easily
of-
shocked, not really, but intrigued.
work on the ambulance, everything's not always pretty.
Right.
And I know we don't need a county coroner that's gonna faint the sight of blood or something,
No.
so that's the reason I asked. It's not a 9 to 5 job.
It is not.
You're talking 2
24
o'clock in the
hours,
morning.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No days off. There's
That's right.
just because it's Christmas, you don't get a holiday.
Well, there's more wrecks, and now EMT's like that too.
Mhm.
When the holidays come, that's when people get out and drive,
Yep.
and that's when bad things happen. And sometimes bad things just happen to good people.
It does.
It just happens. I say wrecks can be pretty gory, and being an EMT gives you experience where you're not going to be
Right.
afraid to get into it.
Just when you think you've seen it all, something new comes along.
Yeah.
It's always something new.
In case of a wreck, now where you have a wreck and it's fatal, what is the first thing you do? Now they call you, you get dressed, come down there. What would be the first thing that you would do? Do you know?
As an EMT, you would assess the scene.
Okay, now the EMT calls and lets you know somebody's dead, right?
Right.
Then you come down there.
Mhm.
Then what?
Check. Make sure. And then you will pronounce them dead.
Okay, it's always the coroner that pronounces
The
somebody
coroner
dead.
pronounces unless there's a doctor there. Most of the time, a doctor is not on the scene of a wreck.
No, not at a wreck. Well, who contacts the family?
Well, I would think the coroner would contact the family, knock on a door, in Tippah County. If it's in Tippah County, I think the coroner,
Do you move the body?
yes.
Okay.
If they are deceased, the coroner will take the body.
Okay, do you take pictures of it first for court in case something
And-
was done?
In the case of needing to go to court,
Well, you don't ever know.
right,
I mean, you don't know who's going to decide to sue who these days.
right.
But I just wonder, do you take pictures and
Law enforcement, criminal investigator would probably take pictures.
just wondered about? I guess you'd have to. Would the coroner ever be called to testify in court?
Yes.
I kind of wondered about that.
Because
I
that
wondered
is the
about
person that signs the death certificate.
At a wreck or a murder scene, the coroner has these pictures. I guess you would take those pictures to court.
Right.
Okay. Because that would be solid evidence,
Mhm.
wouldn't it? I don't know. I saw that on TV. What do I know? I was wondering, as a EMT, you pretty well know if there's a murder or something. You know how to not not step on evidence,
Right.
not what to touch and what not to, and that's worth a lot. Because I think that when you're elected, they send you for like 2 weeks to school. But
It
that's a
is.
lot of stuff to learn in 2
It
weeks.
is 1 week,
1 week.
40 hours. Death investigation training academy, and I have already. They have refresher courses online, and I've been through all of those. Just I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know exactly what I'm stepping into.
I would too. I want to know what I was getting into. I'm telling you. Well, in those courses, does it like have films of wrecks and stuff? That's what I figured. That's what I thought. Okay. And the coroner contacts the family.
I would think so.
How would you? Well, you were raised here, so you about know who's kin to who, but say somebody was in a wreck and you didn't know. How do you go about that?
You'd have to identify who the person is. If they had a driver's license, identify them first, and then you can figure out who the next of kin is.
Well, if nobody knows,
Fingerprint.
or what if they can't find them? Now, it sounds far-fetched, but my daughter was in a wreck, and she passed away, and they couldn't find us. I don't know how I'm on TV and nobody knows. It didn't make any sense. And finally, someone contacted my son's ex-wife. They've been divorced 20 years. And she got in touch with me to give my phone number to the emergency room so they could call me. That didn't make sense. But they did find us. I don't doubt but what they had already been to the house.
Right.
Because it was 4 o'clock in the morning and everybody was at work. So they just didn't know where to go from there. When you get in a situation like that, what do you do?
Well,
Hope
my first
somebody
thing
knows
would
somebody.
be to track them down.
Yeah.
Where do they work?
You just have
I'm
to.
trying to find them.
You have to hope that somebody knows somebody. Yeah. I would have thought to contact her work because she had her badge in the car with her, and they could have told who the husband was. But I don't doubt they'd been to the house. It's a kind of a confusing time. It's hard to know what to
Right.
do. Does the coroner still go pronounce deaths at the nursing home?
I believe so.
They did when I worked there.
I do
When I
believe.
worked there, I remember when someone would pass away, we had to wait for the county coroner
Right.
to come. And, okay, if somebody dies at home, let's kind of walk through this. If somebody dies at home, the first person to get there would be the coroner, right?
The first person to show up,
Probably, now if they've been sick, probably hospice.
hospice, right, or
But-
family.
But if they were like accidentally died, and didn't have somebody, now if you
They
got,
would probably call 911 first.
yeah, if you've
whoever
got
come
hospice,
in.
they'll take care of it for you.
Right. But if somebody just come in and found somebody, they would probably call 911, and they would probably send an ambulance and police, sheriff's department, and then ambulance would call the coroner.
Okay. Who calls the funeral home? Now, I know when you have hospice, they do.
Hospice does, right.
But if you don't have hospice, who calls funeral home? Would they have the family or well, it might be a neighbor.
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
You'll find that out in that 40-hour course.
If I win the election, I will find out. And if
Find
the
that
family
out.
wants me to do it, then, I will ask them who they want to use and make that
Right.
phone call for them. I'll do anything I can to help them out.
Okay, if they're sent to Jackson, does the funeral home carry them or is it an ambulance?
Usually the coroner carries to Jackson
Okay.
for an autopsy.
That'd be an ambulance.
They have a coroner vehicle.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
learn something every day. How about that? Years ago, the ambulances worked out of the funeral homes.
Mhm.
Was that more efficient or not?
No, I don't
Why?
think it was.
Why?
The ambulance needs to be freed up for emergency calls, not death calls.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a coroner vehicle, those ambulances can work emergency calls.
Okay. They wouldn't be tied up in a funeral.
Right.
Okay, I understand. We're going to, more and more people are going to cremating. I think because of the cost. I mean, truly, it costs a lot to, funerals are expensive.
Right.
And if you don't have enough insurance, a lot of people are going to cremating. And of course, they say too that you're going to run out of land. I'm sure that's true. But I know in some states they're stacking people.
Mhm.
They'll like the first one will be buried deeper, and then maybe the wife or a family member
Right.
buried on top of them. But once you burn that body, there's no evidence no more.
There is no evidence left.
Yeah, that's kind of a big decision when to release the body to be cremated. Who makes that decision?
Usually, if it's, you know, autopsy and they've been sent to Jackson, the state medical examiner will release. And then it goes, funeral home, whatever the family wants done with it. But the state medical examiner would release that.
It's such a traumatic time for the family. It's terribly traumatic. And, really, especially a sudden death. Now, if somebody's sick a long time, you're never ready. You think
Right.
you're ready, but you're never, ever ready. It just don't happen. But a sudden death is just so, you're just nearly in shock. And you really are very vulnerable at that time. We
Right.
really need a people person,
Right.
somebody that is going to take time to sit down with these folks and, be thoughtful of their feelings. I think that's very important, and that's one thing. You seem to be a people person.
Thank you.
Yes. You need
Somebody-
somebody that's,
That can show empathy.
yes,
Somebody that can
Yes.
hold their hand and look at them and say, I am so sorry, and my heart is crying with you.
that's right. Now, you've decided this person is dead and needs an autopsy. Why would a body be sent for autopsy?
Different reasons. If you suspect homicide, murder, any child 2 and under usually goes for an autopsy
Yes.
because they have to keep a record of SIDS, statistics, how many children in Mississippi died of sudden infant death syndrome.
Okay. They sent him to Jackson. What is that place called?
The State Crime Lab, and it's in Pearl, Mississippi.
In Pearl, that's outside Jackson. Okay. We had a little experience with that. We had a grandchild that died with SIDS. Beautiful baby. It's been several years ago. And this fellow stood on the porch and told, now there had been a baby down in the trailer park that was murdered just within a few weeks, and then our baby stopped breathing and died. And Jenny, they stood on the porch and told my son-in-law and my daughter that they were taking the baby to the crime lab. And they took the baby to the crime lab. And we knew, I don't know, we knew nothing. And they said, we're taking them to the crime lab. Now, not being a medical person.
Right. That sounds like they think you done something.
Yep. I think we need to be careful about that.
Right. And it needs to be explained, this is state law. 2 years and under, they have to go.
They didn't
I'm
explain, and my kids didn't ask. They were so shocked that their baby died. I mean,
Right.
This was the most horrible thing that had ever happened to them. And then all of a sudden, they were taking the body to the crime lab. Well, okay, when you take that body down there, what do you do when you get down there with it?
I am not the coroner, and I'm not sure exactly what happens when you get down there.
Okay, what you do, you go to the counter where this worker is, and they fill out the papers, and the body is put in the cooler.
The cooler, right?
Well, somehow Jen's body was taken down there and put in the cooler, and they were changing shifts as she got separated from her papers. And that body was considered lost for 4 days. So during that 4 days, truly the children thought they were, that they were in some kind of trouble. That everybody thought that they had done
Right.
something to the baby. Well, it wasn't. It was the fact that, and finally what we did, we had a friend that knew the Attorney General, and he was our pastor, and he called down there, and back then the Attorney General was Mike Moore, so it's been a while. And he called over there, and he told him, he said, I want that body back in Ripley in the morning where these people can put their lives back together. And that's what they did. But he said the only reason he had left it sitting so long was because the papers weren't with it. So mistakes happen.
Right.
Just happens. Nobody's fault.
Nobody's
just
fault.
happens.
It just something got
If you get
shuffled.
elected, you be careful of that.
Right.
Yes. And a person that's not familiar with what happens, they're real easy spooked. It's real easy because they're already, if a person dies at home, you think, well, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or maybe I didn't set them up enough, or maybe I didn't,
Right.
something.
There's always what if and the shoulda, woulda, coulda.
And if you don't think you should have, some family member will think you should have,
Right.
and you killed them. Yeah. And that's sad. Everybody's hunting somebody to blame. If you're at the hospital, you blame a doctor. It's the doctor and nurse's fault. But truly, actually it's appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment. That's just the way it is.
Right.
It's sad, but that's how it is. Okay, is the body sent immediately, are kept in a morgue? Why would it be left in a morgue?
It depends on sent where. Sent to the funeral home or sent to Jackson.
Okay. Which?
The question is, is the body sent immediately where?
Well, if you were going to send the baby, well, the body to, say, to Pearl,
Mhm.
then would it be sent immediately or would it be kept in I'm sure it would have to be in a cooler wherever
Right.
it was.
Until you can make arrangements to get to Pearl, I'm sure it's kept at the morgue.
Do we
Because
have a morgue in Ripley?
there used to be one in the old hospital, and the back part where the old cafeteria was, not the new cafeteria, but in the very back where the old cafeteria was, that's where the morgue was. I'm assuming it's still there. For now, I've heard they're building a new office for the coroner and a morgue.
Oh, really?
Not sure how true that is, but I have heard they are planning to
Pretty
build
neat.
something.
Well, they're doing a lot of building.
They are.
They've built a beautiful building for the hospital.
It is nice.
Have you been in it?
I have, and it is nice. My daughter works there
That's
in the
neat.
cafeteria.
Absolutely, it's great. Well, they say that cafeteria is like a restaurant.
It is. It's not. Food's pretty good too.
That's what they tell me. Good prices, good food. Do you know when it's open?
No, I'm not. I think it's
I don't know
open
either.
every day
I don't
for
know.
lunch.
Probably.
I think so.
But I've been telling, people been telling me that they ate there and they really like it. I'm surprised they opened that to the public, but that is really a neat thing.
It is very clean.
But that's something new. That's something that's never been done before in Ripley, I don't think. Might be before my time, maybe.
I don't
I don't
remember going to the hospital cafeteria to eat
Now,
Sunday
New
lunch.
Albany, at New Albany, I know.
New Albany
I
does,
know we
yes.
did. But I've never, at Ripley, I never have.
Yeah, that's new.
They used to have a grill at New Albany, and they had one at Tupelo. Now, there's a lot of paperwork to being coroner. A ton of paperwork, death certificates, things to have to keep up with. Are you prepared for that?
I am, and I'm excited to learn exactly how to do all that. Like
And
I
you're going
said,
to learn all that in a week.
all that in a week.
But I think all of these offices are like that. I got like a week or 2 weeks training and good luck. But now your EMT skills will help you. It will. Have you, as an EMT, did you work? Have you ever worked around a murder scene?
I'm trying to think. No.
You didn't hear as much. Maybe we just didn't hear it as much back then. But we truly didn't hear as much going on years ago as we do now. There's a lot that goes on, a lot that happens that used to not. I don't know. It's going to be something to. This is something to see. But I do think that we need somebody in the coroner's office who is a people person.
Right.
Somebody that can, can go in and comfort the family. Because this is the most horrible time of their lives.
Right.
It is. Now, sometimes people are prepared fairly, but most of the time not. Especially a wreck or maybe an accident. in
Right.
the home or you know, it just, sometimes things, just terrible things just happen. It just happens. But I appreciate you coming.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's, and we think we're ready for a change.
Looks that way.
Tired of being at home, ready to do something productive.
Ready to do something productive
That's
for the
neat.
county, for the community.
I think that's neat. And tell us again, tell us your contact information, your name, what you want the people to know and remember.
Just that my name is Krystal Floyd. I'm running for Tippah County Coroner, and keep me in mind with the election coming up in August. And that's it.
Yeah, my understanding it's going to be August.
It is going to be August.
There's no Democrats.
You're right.
Everything's Republican.
Everybody is running on the Republican ticket.
So that one in August is going to be all of it.
That it's going to be the most of it. I believe there's somebody running independent for judge,
Yeah, I think I saw that. I think I did.
maybe South Half judge. I'm not sure, but everybody is on the Republican ticket.
But if you want to say so and who your officials are, you better show up in August. I think,
Right.
is it like the 8th? It's the first part of August.
First
I believe
part of
it's the
August.
8th. And that'll be what you need to do, is make sure that you're at the August election, because that's going to be it. That's going to be,
Right.
unless there might be there's always a runoff or something. Yeah, but that'll be your main election, it'll be in August. I was surprised at that. I didn't know that. But I appreciate you coming,
Thank you for having me.
and I hope you do well.
Thank you.
I truly do. This is Daryl at Daryl's Little Corner. Be sure and tune in to the Jeter family at 7 o'clock on Saturday nights. And tune us in again next Monday at 7 for Daryl's Little Corner. May God bless. You did good.